Hello, welcome to UCD. My name is Dermot Stokes and I am your college liaison librarian. And that means that I'm part of the team here in UCD that's here to support you while you're students. So at any stage after today's session, during your degree, if you have a question, don't hesitate to get in touch. And you'll be seeing how you can contact me as we go through the presentation. So today we're going to be looking at how you can use the library for success, not just for SCI110, but also as a foundation for getting success as you go through your degree here in UCD. So what does a library mean to you? So is the library a place where we have loads of books available for you, loads of journals? Is it some place where you come to print off something that you need? Is it some place where we have loads of databases that you can search for information? Is it some place where you can photocopy? Or is it some place that you can come and study? In fact, it's all of these places. There's many things that you can do in the library and many services that the library provides to you, both physically and online. Is it, on the other hand, a place you don't really understand and are wondering how you're going to be able to use it as part of your degree? And that's what we're trying to start to get you to think about today. And this is a comment from a real student who said that since my very unsuccessful journey to the library, I'm now unsure about how effective research is going to be made in this project. I know that an unbiased project cannot be produced with information solely from the internet, so I'm sort of confused as to what to do next. So SCI110 is a team-based module, so you will be working with other people in groups. So make sure you get to know what your team looks like, make sure you figure out how you're going to work together. All the teams will look different. There's no one perfect template for a team. You need to make you feel how you can work together. So we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons you can need the library and how it can help you. And number 1 is books. So books are going to be a major part of where you find information as part of your course. You're going to be told that there are certain textbooks you need to get. You might want to use encyclopedias and dictionaries, which are really good for getting an overall view or your definitions or a starting point. And you can use OneSearch to search for that information. And you can find OneSearch in UCD Connect, or you can find it on the library homepage. And coming up next is going to be a short video. You can pause it. We've put the URL underneath it, and you can go and watch this video, and it'll show you how you can find books using OneSearch in UCD Library. Back to our top 5 reasons why you'll need the library, and at number 2 it is academic journals. So now we're going to talk about the difference between scholarly and popular magazines or journals. For this course, you're going to be expected to gravitate towards the scholarly or academic journals, and we're going to talk a bit now what's the difference between them and where you can find them. Scholarly or academic journals are written by experts on the field covered by the journal. They can be peer reviewed, which means that if an author submits an article to a journal, the article is shared with other experts in the field, and only if they say it's worth publishing does it get published. It's generally aimed at scholars and researchers in the field of the journal. It's usually published monthly or quarterly and contains a select number of articles. And the articles usually contain citations and references. On the other hand, a popular journal can be written by journalists and non-professionals. It may focus on current event trends and general interest. It's aimed at the general public. It's usually published weekly or monthly, and it contains few or no citations and references. And from an academic point of view, those citations and references are important because an academic journal is obliged to support any arguments it's making with the existing evidence, so you need those references and citations. back to our top 5. And this time we're going to be looking at databases. And what are databases? Databases are searchable online collections of academic research sources such as journal articles, conference papers, theses, and other formats. Databases often focus on a specific subject discipline or field of study, but they can also be multidisciplinary as well. And why should you be using them? They're good sources of in-depth peer-reviewed research. They allow you to find the latest research from the leading academics and journals in your discipline. And they allow you to do quite detailed and comprehensive searches as well. Coming up, we have another video. This time it's a video not by UCD, but it's a good video to explain how you can use databases for this module and for other modules as you go through your degree. So once again, pause the video and go to the URL and listen to what they have to say about databases. Back to our top 5 again, and at number 4 it's newspapers. Newspapers are a great source of information. They're a good place to discover reports of new research that's been conducted. It'll often give a summary in layman's terms of new research being done. We have tools for searching many news outlets in one go. You can search one search, and we have tools such as a Nexus that you can use to find information as well. Finally, at number 5 in our top reasons that you need the library is help. We have created a load of supports on the library website for you. One of the important ones is the subject guides that we've created. So if you go to the URL on the screen, www.ucd.ie/library/students, you'll see a section there called subject guides. So here we've created a starting point for you to find out what information is there. So if you go to any of the guides for the College of Science, on the front page there you will see my contact details, so you can always email me at any stage if you have a question. You'll also see on the guide listed the main databases for that subject. So it'll tell you what resources are available for you. Also on the same page you'll see a link for videos and interactive tutorials. And you've watched some of these already on how to search for books, how to search for journal articles. And there's much more there available for you as well. So I recommend going there to see if we have an answer to a question that you might have. Another support we have for you is the College Liaison Librarian support. For science you have me, and you can always email me if you've got a question. But if you have a question that falls outside of what you think science represents, you can go to one of the other College Liaison Librarians as well, and you'll see the URL at the bottom there. So it's www.ucd.ie/library/contacts/CLLS. We also have manned service points in the library as well. And when you come into the James Joyce Library, for example, on the ground floor, there's an information desk there. So you could always talk to the staff there if you've got a question that you need an answer straight away for. Do approach them. They're very friendly and they will be eager to answer any questions that you might have. We've introduced you to some of the resources available for you. So next we're going to talk about some of the ways you can go about and search for information. So in other words, how you can conduct a literature search. And a literature search is the comprehensive study and interpretation of literature that's related to a particular topic. You might be thinking you don't know how to go about searching for information, but the good news is that there's a recognized cycle or process involved in searching for information. You start off by defining the question or problem that you have. You choose the appropriate databases or resources for your topic, and remember we've shown you where the subject guides are, which lists all the major databases. We're going to give you a few tips as well on how you can search for information, and we're going to talk about evaluating information as well, because don't assume that all information is equally good. Don't be surprised if it doesn't work flawlessly the first time, so you may need to refocus your search to get the articles that you actually need to read. So when you get your question, the first thing you need to do is make sure you fully understand it and break it down. So break your question down into its component parts or concepts. Always ask yourself, is it multidisciplinary? So are there a number of subject guides that you need to look at? Identify, as I said, the main concepts, but then also ask yourself, what keywords could be used to describe those concepts? Are there any alternative terms or synonyms or acronyms that might be important? And also you need to think of such things as alternative spellings. So the more terms or keywords that you have when searching for a concept, more thoroughly you will be able to search for that. This is a checklist that you can use when you're thinking about alternative terms. So one of the things you can ask yourself, is there alternative vocabulary being used in this topic? Are there Irish and American variations in spelling of the same word, words like colour or labour, etc.? Are you searching for loads of words that have the same root but different endings? You can easily search by using wildcards, and we'll talk about that in a second. Are there abbreviations being used? So use the full version as well as the abbreviation. All those will help you get a variety of keywords to search when you are investigating a topic. So where can you look for information? Well, at different times you will be looking for different types of information depending on how much you know. Librarians regard information as being on 3 different layers depending on how heavily it has been synthesized together. If you don't know much information about a topic, you're going to be looking at what we call the tertiary literature. And these are things like encyclopedias and dictionaries that give very broad overviews or definitions, and nobody really argues or about these. They're very happy, they're uncontroversial with the information contained in them. If you already are happy that you know your definitions and overviews, but you want more detail, you'll need to go on to what we call the secondary literature. And these would be books and textbooks. Once again, we're synthesizing information together, but it's generally agreed upon information. And where you're going to be expected to end up increasingly as you go through your degree is what we call the primary literature. And these would be your journal articles and your conference papers. This is original or new research or discoveries. It could be still controversial, it could still be up for debate, so you need to look at it very critically when you come to that kind of information. So when you're doing an assignment, you could be taking information from all 3 of those levels. And how can the library help you? If you're looking for your reference material, search to see if we've encyclopedias or dictionaries. They're good for definitions and overviews. You can search OneSearch, as we've seen, to search for books or ebooks. You can use OneSearch databases and journals to look for the articles you might need. Maybe there's been theses. We talked about newspaper articles already. And of course there is the web as well. The web can be good for an overview, but you need to be very, very careful. There's loads of information available for you on the internet, as you know by now, but you need to be very careful. There's nobody guaranteeing any of the quality and academic integrity of the information that's out there. So you need to be really careful if you are using a source on the internet, and make sure that the information that you are depending upon or using is of sufficient quality and reliability that you can stand over it. Now we're going to talk about some of the tools that you can use in the databases, and in fact these will work anywhere where you're searching on a computer to help you quickly find the information that you need for any assignment or question that you want to answer. So we're going to be looking at such things as Boolean operators, phrase searching, truncation, wildcards and limits. One of the most basic tools, but at the same time one of the most essential tools you can use when searching, is what's called Boolean operators or Boolean logic. And you've been using these all the time you've been searching on Google to find information. Google just doesn't tell you. There are 3 operators that you can use to broaden, narrow or exclude terms from your search. So for example, if you were searching for deposit gold in a database or on Google, Google is going to, in this case, assume that you're going to do an and search. You want to search for both of those terms together. So it'll give you that little bit in the center there where both concepts overlap. It won't give you articles just dealing with deposit or gold. Both of them have to be in a result for you to be able to see it. So using the AND operator is a great way of narrowing down your results. If you've got loads of different terms for the same concept, you can use the OR operator, or deposit. When you search using the OR operator, as long as one of those terms is in an article, you'll see it. So using the OR operator is a great way of broadening out your search. And the NOT operator, or not iron, anything to do with iron is going to be excluded. Even that little bit in the center there where they both overlap is not going to be visible in your results because you've explicitly said, I don't want to see anything to do with iron. So as I said, you can use these to broaden, narrow, or exclude terms from your search. You can type them in, usually using block capitals, or you'll often see drop-down menus in the databases that you can use to combine these concepts as well. Another commonly used tool that you can use to improve the quality of your search is phrase searching. If you're searching for words that you need to appear together in a particular order, make sure you put quotation marks or inverted commas around those terms. The example we have here is organic chemistry. If I hadn't put the inverted commas around organic chemistry, Google or the database that you've chosen to use would search for organic and chemistry, and that's not as precise as organic chemistry as a concept. I mentioned this one earlier on, truncation. So if you're searching for loads of words that have the same root but different endings, you can very easily tell the database to search for all possible endings by using a symbol. Here we've gone for an asterisk. So chemi, C-H-E-M-I, with an asterisk will get you chemical, chemist, chemistry. And it just keeps going on until you've got all possible endings, but you only have to type it in the one time. I also mentioned this one earlier on, and this is alternative spelling. So the same word can be spelled slightly differently depending where you are in the world or what profession that you're in. So words like colour or labour or centre. So what you can do is take out the letter that differs and put a symbol in its place. Here we've gone for question mark, take in place of the U. So colour with the U, with a question mark where the U is, we'll find your colour with a U and colour without a U. Now, we've talked in truncation about using an asterisk and in alternative spellings using a question mark. These are not universal symbols. Different databases or resources will expect you to use different symbols, so check what symbol you should be using when you're searching that. And finally, we're going to look at limits. And limits is a powerful way of getting rid of stuff you know in advance that you don't want to see. So for example, if you want the most up-to-date research, you can use a date limit to discard everything older than the date you're happier with. You can limit by such things as language. So if, like me, all you have is English, you can put in a limit of just English. You can also limit by things such as peer review. So if you want the most reliable information, select peer review as a limit. So when you're thinking about your question, think about what you don't want to see coming up and see if you can find a limit in the databases to help you get rid of stuff. Up until now, we've been talking a bit abstractly about databases and searching. But now we're going to move on and we're going to show you how you can use one of the most popular databases for science, and it's a database called Web of Science. So we're going to show you how you can access it, how you can search it, and then how you can use the results to get through to the articles that you want. So we're going to show you how you can use the database to search information, and we're going to use Web of Science as our database because it's one of the biggest and most popular and comprehensive databases for the science subjects. We're also going to do quite a simple search just to give you an idea of what's involved, but obviously you can do more sophisticated searches if you want to as well. So first of all, we have to find our database. So we go to one search. I'm here on the library homepage and I search for Web of Science, and I click on the Go button, and we should see at the top of the screen under a section called Database Recommendations. There's a blue link for Web of Science, so we click on that and we'll be brought out. If you're off campus, you do need to log in, and you just log in with your UCD login details. So I must log in now myself and click on login. And now I'm in the interface for Web of Science. So in the first search box here, I'm going to add in our first term, so I'm going to add in lithium. I'm going to add another row for my next topic, which of course is going to be battery. And then I'm going to click on search. So I find there's about 100,000 references, which is too much. So I'm going to add in another search term here. I'm going to add in car, because I want to see lithium batteries in cars. So add in car and click on the magnifying glass to rerun the search again. So a lot better. I'm down to 373 articles. If I want the most up-to-date, I can start applying some limits. So I want 2020, 2019, 2018. I could play around with some of Web of Science's inbuilt categories. So for example, energy fuels, etc. I could select the article type as well. So always have a look to see if there's limits that you can apply. So I'm going to go for article. Actually going to do one at a time just to be. So I'm going to click on refine first of all for publication years, which is down to 126, and then I'm going to go for article, click on refine, and now it should be down to 88. So then you can review the articles to see if there's any that are of interest to you, and then you just click on the title of the article that you're interested in. So I'm going to the first article here, click on the title. I have the title, the authors, where it appeared in, the journal, etc. And there's the abstract. And the abstract is really important because it tells you what the article is about. If I scroll on further on down, I'll see some author keywords. These are keywords that the author gave to describe the article. And in Keywords Plus, these are keywords supplied by the database as well. And we have information about the author. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to get through to the full text of the article because maybe we don't have a subscription to it. So one of the strategies that you could pursue in that case is emailing the author. And if you look on the screen here, there's an email address for the author, so you could email the author explaining the situation. You're a student in UCD, you're doing research, you've discovered his article or her article, and you'd like to get through to it, but we don't have it. Would it be possible for the author to supply you with a copy? They may say no, they may say yes, it's up to them. If you go back up to the top again, you still need to read the article, you can't just depend on the abstract. So at the very top there's a couple of links. One link is for One Search at UCD. So if we click on that, it'll bring you back into our own resources and try and find the full text of the article for you. And there is the article. If you scroll on down, there's the full text of the article, so you can read it online if you want to. But you also have an option at the top to download the PDF, and you can save that to your computer. If we go back out to our list of references, the second option is Google Scholar. If you haven't heard of or used Google Scholar before, you can regard Google Scholar as sort of the academic side of Google. And if I click on the look up full text link here, it'll bring me out into Google Scholar, and I'm lucky there's a HTML link here to bring me through to the full text of the article. This link could also say PDF, and you can also set it up so that it can access UCD resources, and it would say One Search at UCD Library. And if I click on this link again, we'll be brought out to the page we saw already. So there's the article itself, and I can once again download the PDF. So quite often there can be multiple ways of getting through to the article. So if we go back to our article, go back one stage to our list of references. One of the things, we've talked about this already, is that you'll need to save your references. So beside all the references here in Web of Science, there's a little tick box, so I can select my references that way. And when I'm done, I can add them to a marked list. And there's the marked list up here in the top right hand corner, so I can continue on doing more searches and keep adding them to the marked list. And when I'm ready to save my references, I just click on marked list, and I get the options for saving those references. So you can decide, step one is select the references. Is it all the references you selected up to 500? You can decide how much information that you want to bring. I would always click on abstract, so it'll remind you what the article is about. And then finally you can go to your destination where you're going to save this information. So if I click on the export button, I can save them to EndNote, which is a bibliographic management software. I can save them to Excel. I can print the details off, or I can email them. So the main thing is that you have a record so that you can cite with confidence all the great information that you found when you're writing up your assignment. One other option that's available is that you can create an account in the database. So you'll see at the very top here there's a sign in link. If you don't already have an account, just click on register and follow the instructions. And what you can do then is, if you register, you can save your search, and then even set up an alert so that if new articles come up, you can arrange to have them sent on to you. You can have an alert set up every week, every month. It's up to you, and you'll get an email containing the details of the articles that meet your search criteria. So that's just the basics of of using Web of Science. As we said, there are many other databases out there. Don't be put off by the fact that they don't look like Web of Science. They all do the same thing. And as I keep saying, if you have any questions, do get in touch with me, and I'll be happily answer any questions that you have. So if we cast our mind back to the circle of the literature searching process, one of the later steps is evaluation. Don't assume that everything is equally as good. So you need to evaluate the results that you find. So why do you need to evaluate? You need to make sure that you can confidently back up your claims, that the source is fit for purpose, and that the information that you have found is reliable. So how do you go about evaluating a source? How can you determine whether something is good or bad? These are the criteria you should be using when you're evaluating your results. You need to think about the authority, the objectivity, the timeliness, the supporting evidence, and the relevance. So when we're talking about authority, we're asking who is the author and what is the source of their authority, i.e. what is their academic specialism or professional experience. So in the article, does it say professor or doctor? Does it say what organization they're working with? Can you tell if a systematic and rigorous process has been carried out? So, for example, can you trace the articles or the references? Has the evidence been discussed and thoroughly analysed? And can you tell if it has been peer-reviewed or gone through an editing process? Objectivity. What is the purpose of the information? Is it trying to inform, sell, or persuade you? Has the work been commissioned on part of another organisation? If so, have steps been taken to ensure objectivity? Are the author's own assumptions apparent? Or does his beliefs undermine the arguments he's trying to make? Can you tell when the information was created or last updated? Is there more recent research available? If it's information you found on a website, does it look like it's been maintained, and do the links work? Does the author provide supporting evidence to advance his ideas, views, and conclusions? What kind of evidence is being used? Is there any data or statistics being provided? Does it look like the author has undertaken any original research, or is he just repeating stuff? Are there any accurate references to other sources that you can follow? And finally, relevance. Is the information too basic or too advanced for your needs? Is the emphasis of the topic appropriate for your needs? And does it relate fully to the topic that you're interested in? And finally, remember, evaluate the source itself, not just the information. If you're asked for a primary source, is it a primary source? If you're asked for journal articles, the web might not be the best place to start. If you're asked for a detailed answer, is the source you found comprehensive enough? So after you've gathered all your information together and evaluated what you're going to use, analyze and draw your conclusions. Make sure you acknowledge the sources that you've used by citing when you're writing up, and also compile a bibliography listing all of the articles that you've used. And now a quick word on plagiarism. So what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is using another person's words or ideas without crediting them, copying or pasting from another source directly into your own document, passing somebody else's work off as your own, failing to acknowledge a quotation by putting it in quotation marks, summarizing or paraphrasing material without crediting the original source, changing certain words or phrases but copying the ideas and sentence structure of the original source without crediting it, or citing sources you did not use or read. And from an academic point of view, these are very serious things with serious consequences. UCD takes plagiarism very, very seriously and regards it as a serious academic offence. While plagiarism may be easy to commit unintentionally, it must be remembered that it is defined by the act and not the intention. To help you figure out plagiarism and how to avoid it, UCD Library has created a comprehensive guide on academic integrity, of which plagiarism is part. So I recommend that you do look at this guide and go through the section on plagiarism to make sure that you know what you have to do to avoid plagiarism. Also in the Academic Integrity Guide is information on referencing and citing. And why is that important? It's part of academic writing. Academic research builds on existing knowledge which has to be acknowledged. It shows that you've read, understood, and can use other researchers' observation. You can use it to support your discussion and arguments. It helps you avoid plagiarism and prevents you from passing off somebody else's writing, ideas, and research as your own. It enables others to find your references and read them, and helps you to get better marks as well. You may think that you will be able to remember all the references you've used in an assignment and will therefore be able to create a reference list from memory. And I'm here to tell you that this is not going to happen. As the slide says, the biggest lie I tell myself is that I don't need to write it down, I'll remember it. And one of the consequences is that if you have a brilliant idea that you want to use in an assignment, but you can't remember where you got it from, you can't use it because once again you're opening yourself up to the possibility of plagiarism. So get into the habit of saving your references. Coming up is a short video on how you can save your references in OneSearch. You can also do the same in the databases as well. So get into the habit of saving the references so you'll know exactly what you need to create references for your assignments. Look at the Academic Integrity Guide, ask your lecturers what referencing style you're supposed to use, and then see our guide on how to use that. The Academic Integrity Guide will give you examples of how to do books, journal articles, etc. And you need to follow the style that you've been chosen. You have to be consistent when you're doing your referencing, so accuracy is very, very important. I'm sure you've got questions based on what we've covered today, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can always email me at dermot.stokes@ucd.ie, and you'll find my email address or a link for emailing me in any of the subject guides for science. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope you found it useful, and I hope to hearing from you over the next few years while you go through your degree here in UCD. Thank you and goodbye.